Hello, my cherished family. It's wonderful to have you back at Heartbeats for Allah, a place where our souls unite through powerful narratives. We begin with gratitude. Allah, thank you for connecting us across oceans and mountains today. Protect, strengthen, and inspire each listener through our videos. Amin. Tell me, from which part of our beautiful planet are you watching? Did previous video touch your heart? Your thoughts bring warmth and meaning to this gathering. Friends, an astonishing piece of news has left everyone in shock and deep contemplation. Donald Trump unexpectedly arrived at a mosque in New York. Many assumed he was merely seeking attention by observing Muslims during their Taraweeh prayers. Yet the reality proved far more surprising. The crowd stood in disbelief when Trump, stopping at the mosque's entrance, suddenly began to cry as if he were a helpless child. Witnessing his unexpected tears, a nearby journalist stepped forward to ask what had caused such an emotional outburst. At first, Trump seemed unable to speak, his voice lost in the flood of tears. However, when he finally managed to utter a few words, the revelation left onlookers as if they had been struck silent. People hurried to record the scene on their phones, capturing every trembling moment. Some suspected a political stunt, doubting the sincerity behind such an uncharacteristic display. Others felt an unmistakable sense of genuine sorrow in Trump's tearful eyes, leading them to wonder if there was an unknown burden weighing on his heart. The journalist tried again, carefully phrasing the same question. "Mr. Trump, why are you crying?" Trump hesitated, breath hitching in his throat, then whispered hints of a secret that could turn everything people assumed about him upside down. Gasps spread through the small gathering, everyone sensing they were on the cusp of uncovering something monumental. Even without all the details, it was obvious that this singular event had jarred everyone who witnessed it. Within minutes, footage of Trump's tears began circulating on social media, sparking fervent debate over motives, faith, and redemption. This brief yet extraordinary scene at the mosque's threshold compelled viewers to reconsider what they truly knew about Donald Trump. New York was abuzz with the excitement of Ramadan, its mosques adorned in festive lights and filled with the warm hum of worshipers. People from various neighborhoods gathered for evening prayers, then remained for Taraweeh. In one particular district, renowned for its sizable Muslim community, a modest yet lively mosque had drawn about 150 worshipers that night. They stood shoulder to shoulder, keenly awaiting the call to begin Taraweeh, unaware of the extraordinary development about to unfold outside. Suddenly, the sound of approaching vehicles and raised voices filtered through the mosque's entrance. At first, only a few individuals turned to see what might be causing such a commotion. A group of security personnel appeared, forming a tight perimeter that caused murmurs of curiosity within the congregation. Many speculated some dignitary or media personality was visiting, though few expected the magnitude of the figure about to arrive. Word soon spread that Donald Trump, the polarizing former president, was on his way. Disbelief rippled through the assembly. Some recalled his contentious remarks toward Muslims, while others wondered if this visit could signal a shift in his perspective. Whispers filled the prayer hall, breaking the usually quiet anticipation before Taraweeh. Yet the imam, noticing the growing restlessness, gently reminded everyone to focus on their devotion and trust that clarity would come in due time. Meanwhile, outside the mosque, camera crews scrambled for positions, eager to capture any detail. The entire block seemed electrified by the possibility of Trump's appearance. Even residents of nearby buildings peered from windows to witness the spectacle. A group of onlookers gathered near the entrance, craning their necks to see if Trump might truly step inside a place of worship so different from the circles he once frequented. When the telltale line of black SUVs finally arrived, tension soared. Security professionals issued sharp commands, ensuring order among the growing crowd. Many inside remained uncertain whether to continue with Taraweeh or wait to see what might transpire. More than a few had smartphones at the ready, determined not to miss a moment. Though rooted in faith and focused on their prayers, the congregation could not entirely block out the swirl of activity at the door. Something incredible was happening, something that might not only redefine how New Yorkers viewed Trump, but how he viewed them as well. All eyes awaited the moment that would soon reveal the truth. Word spread quickly through the neighborhood, yet many refused to believe that Donald Trump had truly arrived. It seemed almost surreal to imagine the former president walking through streets where most residents were Muslim. Some dismissed the rumors as mere gossip, insisting it was impossible for Trump to visit a place so different from his usual circles. Others joked that perhaps it was a publicity stunt orchestrated by political operatives. Regardless, the buzz grew louder with each passing minute, drawing curious onlookers out of their homes. As more people ventured outside, they saw that the security detail was indeed legitimate. Black SUVs were parked at strategic points, and official-looking personnel scanned every passerby with serious expressions. Still, onlookers found it hard to accept that Trump was actually among them. Even those who caught glimpses of someone tall and familiar in a dark suit questioned whether it could really be him. In the midst of the growing crowd, Trump moved purposefully, acknowledging the greetings of a few local political figures and community leaders. He exchanged firm handshakes, but it was clear his mind was elsewhere. Every few steps he glanced toward the mosque at the end of the street, as though truly compelled by something beyond casual curiosity. The small group of onlookers followed him at a respectful distance, whispering theories about why he would want to see this modest place of worship. Despite their disbelief, people began sharing photos on social media, some capturing Trump's profile against the neon signs of local shops. The entire district felt charged with anticipation, as if waiting for an explanation. Trump's eyes never strayed long from the mosque's silhouette. His guarded expression and hurried pace hinted at an urgent reason for his visit, fueling even wilder speculation about what he planned to do next. Inside the mosque, worshippers stood in orderly rows, their voices rising in a melodic chorus as they began the Taraweeh prayers. The soft cadence of the Quran filled every corner, creating a tranquil atmosphere that seemed to envelop everyone present. Donald Trump, having edged his way past the security detail, stopped at the doorway, transfixed by a sight unlike anything he had witnessed before. He lingered there, as though hesitating to move further, quietly observing a devotion so palpable that it momentarily silenced his usual bravado. A few onlookers tried to engage him in conversation, hoping to glean some insight into his intentions. Yet Trump hardly acknowledged their attempts, his attention riveted on the unified bows and prostrations of the congregation. It was almost as if the rhythmic rise and fall of those praying had cast a spell, drawing him into an experience he neither expected nor fully understood. Even the bustling journalists who had followed him to the threshold could not distract him from the scene that unfolded within. From his vantage point, he could see entire families praying side by side, fathers guiding young sons, mothers whispering gentle reminders to wide-eyed daughters. Each person seemed lost in the divine recitation, wholly focused on something beyond the ordinary realm of daily life. This collective act of worship, so humble yet so powerful, visibly impacted Trump. He took a step forward, then paused, appearing unsure whether to proceed inside or remain at the door. His gaze wandered across the rows of believers, eventually settling on the imam, whose voice resonated with unwavering clarity. Behind him, murmurs grew. Some local officials and curious bystanders found it surreal to see Trump standing there, silent and apparently moved by the sanctity of the moment. A few discreetly recorded videos capturing the image of the former president in a posture of quiet awe. Others debated whether his demeanor was genuine or simply another tactic to garner attention. Whatever the reason, there was an undeniable change in Trump's expression, a sort of hushed respect perhaps, or a profound curiosity awakening within him. As the Taraweeh prayer continued, Trump remained rooted to the spot, not wanting to interrupt, but seemingly unable to walk away. The world outside might have been in flux, with news reports spinning countless theories. Yet here within these walls, a sense of calm and unity prevailed. For the first time in a long while, Donald Trump appeared speechless, captivated by the power of sincere faith. Lingering at the threshold, Donald Trump remained focused on the recitation echoing from within the mosque. Once the congregation concluded their prayers, the imam stepped toward the entrance, curious about the commotion outside. Approaching Trump with a calm demeanor, the imam offered a polite greeting, to which Trump responded with an uncharacteristically humble nod. A handful of onlookers quickly began recording videos, capturing the former president's unexpected exchange with a spiritual leader. The imam, dressed in traditional attire, welcomed Trump, though a hint of surprise flickered across his expression. Trump's gaze shifted between the imam and the stillness within the mosque. He seemed hesitant, yet there was a sense of urgency in his posture. With a voice softer than usual, Trump asked if he could enter the mosque. A ripple of astonishment passed through the crowd. This was the same man who, in the past, had voiced strong opinions that many interpreted as anti-Muslim. Now he stood at the doorstep of a sacred space, politely requesting permission to step inside. After a brief pause, the imam nodded and gestured for Trump to follow him into the main prayer hall. Observers who had gathered around looked on in silent wonder, uncertain how to react. Some felt curiosity, others felt disbelief, and a few murmured quiet prayers for guidance. The moment felt charged with significance, as though something transformative might be unfolding. As Trump entered, he removed his shoes, cautiously placing them aside in accordance with Islamic tradition. Cameras continued to roll, documenting every subtle movement. In that brief moment, the city's usual bustle seemed distant, overshadowed by the weight of an encounter that few could have predicted. Whatever had prompted Trump to seek out the imam, his request to enter the mosque opened a door to uncharted territory for everyone involved. Donald Trump took slow, measured steps into the prayer hall, his gaze roaming across the tranquil space where a few worshippers lingered. After Tarawih, the imam, standing nearby, watched closely, unsure whether to speak or simply allow the former president a moment to absorb the unfamiliar surroundings. The tension in the air was palpable. While some onlookers held their breath in anticipation, others discreetly aimed their cameras, hoping to capture every second of Trump's unprecedented visit to this sacred place. For a fleeting instant, Trump appeared hesitant. He reached out to rest his hand on one of the prayer rugs, fingers grazing the intricate patterns with a kind of reverence. Then, as though the weight of countless unspoken emotions had suddenly descended upon him, his composure cracked. Without warning, he began to cry, not the reserved tears of a dignitary holding back sorrow, but deep, gasping sobs that startled everyone present. In a single moment, the man once known for his unyielding public persona stood exposed, vulnerable in front of a congregation that had never expected to see him in this light. A wave of surprise rippled through the small group of people gathered near the entrance. Some exchanged uncertain glances, while a few stepped back in apprehension. Others, moved by the rawness of Trump's tears, felt compelled to reach out but hesitated, unsure of how he might respond. Even the imam, who had witnessed countless personal struggles within these walls, found himself unprepared for the sight of Donald Trump weeping with such intensity. Whispers filled the hushed space. "Is he all right?" asked one observer. "Should we call someone?" questioned another. The imam, composing himself, gently approached and placed a reassuring hand on Trump's shoulder. This simple gesture seemed to soften the moment further, allowing Trump to breathe through his sobs. He clutched at his chest, as though grappling with a pain he could not express in words. Time seemed to slow, each breath amplified by the silence that now dominated the mosque. The distant hum of the city faded, replaced by the sound of tears and the faint, steady beat of hearts, trying to comprehend what they were witnessing. Few could have anticipated a scene so charged with emotion, nor could they guess what hidden truths had driven Trump to this breaking point. For now, one thing was clear. Something profound had stirred within him, and the entire room felt it. Donald Trump continued to sob, his face flushed and streaked with tears. A hush fell over the worshippers who had gathered near him, uncertain how to respond to a figure once known for his defiance, now rendered so vulnerable. Many captured the scene on their phones, aware they were witnessing a moment unlike any other in recent history. As Trump's breath hitched, he clutched at his chest as if trying to relieve an invisible weight pressing down on him. Someone hurried to bring him a bottle of mineral water, their first instinct to offer comfort and relief. Yet Trump gently pushed it away, shaking his head. His voice trembled with emotion as he insisted he did not need water, that he wanted only to hear the Quran recited. An older gentleman standing nearby, known for his melodious tilawat, stepped forward and began to recite verses from the Quran in a calm, measured tone. The words resonated in the hushed hall, weaving through the air with a soothing power that seemed to envelop everyone present. All eyes turned to Trump, whose sobs gradually subsided into soft, broken gasps as he listened. His tear-stained features took on a reflective cast, as though he were absorbing each word into the core of his being. No one could decipher the exact reasons behind his emotional collapse, nor understand what had spurred this profound reaction. Even so, the atmosphere in the mosque shifted towards something akin to compassion and shared humanity. In that moment, the labels of politics and partisanship fell away, replaced by a common sense of awe and empathy. As the recitation continued, Trump pressed a hand to his heart, trembling beneath the weight of whatever truth he had encountered. Nothing else seemed to matter except that sound echoing in the sacred space. A tense silence descended upon the mosque as Donald Trump continued to weep, leaving the onlookers both anxious and intrigued. Eventually, a brave soul mustered the courage to step forward and address the former president directly. "Sir," he began softly, "why are you crying? Is everything all right?" The man's voice carried genuine concern, reflecting the collective unease of those gathered. People had never witnessed such a scene. Trump in a mosque, overwhelmed by tears, and they longed to understand the reason behind his grief. Others murmured among themselves, debating whether to press him for an explanation or grant him the privacy to process his emotions. The imam, still standing close by, also approached, speaking gently in an attempt to ease Trump's distress. "Is there anything we can do for you?" he asked. In response, Trump offered no words, only more tears that seemed impossible to contain. His eyes glistened under the soft glow of the mosque's lights, each drop reflecting a quiet agony he seemed powerless to articulate. Seeing Trump unable to speak, the imam suggested that he at least take a moment to collect himself. A congregant quickly retrieved a small cup of water from the mosque's wash area, offering it to Trump in a gesture of compassion. After a slight hesitation, Trump took a few sips, his trembling hand indicating just how much emotional turmoil he was experiencing. Even in this simple act, the crowd felt the gravity of the moment, realizing that the man before them was grappling with something far deeper than mere political posturing. With his tears still flowing, Trump pressed himself against one of the mosque's walls, sliding slowly to the floor. He sat there, shoulders heaving, breathing in ragged gulps of air as he tried to regain some semblance of control. Around him, whispers filled the space. Some people wondered if they should call for medical help, while others speculated about what might have triggered such a powerful emotional response. The imam knelt beside Trump, quietly offering words of comfort and attempting to reassure him that he was in a place of peace. For a few heartbeats, the entire mosque seemed suspended in time, united by the mystery unfolding before them. No matter their personal views on Trump, everyone present recognized the raw human anguish he displayed. In that moment, compassion took precedence over politics, and the mosque's calm embrace offered a momentary refuge for a man wrestling with his own hidden truths. Trembling lips finally gave way to words, though at first they were barely more than whispers. Donald Trump managed to voice what had driven him to his knees in a place he never imagined he would visit. Between shaky breaths, he spoke of old documents he had come across, a set of papers that shattered everything he had believed about his past. He had discovered only hours before that his mother was a Muslim woman, a secret his father had kept hidden from him all his life. Gasps rippled through the small gathering around him. The imam, still kneeling by Trump's side, shared a look of astonishment with several worshippers who had drawn closer to listen. They realized that this revelation might explain the intensity of Trump's recent breakdown. While some had suspected political theater, the rawness of his tears now seemed bound to a genuine crisis of identity. Struggling to maintain composure, Trump admitted he felt betrayed by the silence that had surrounded his mother's faith. Had he not stumbled upon those documents, he believed he would have remained in the dark forever. The knowledge pressed upon him like a heavy weight, stirring questions about who he was, what he had stood for, and how many choices he had made without truly knowing his own heritage. A profound hush fell over the mosque as people absorbed the implications of his confession. Some exchanged uneasy glances, recalling statements Trump had made in the past. Others, however, viewed his tears with compassion, sensing that his world had been irrevocably transformed by this newfound truth. In that solemn moment, faith, politics, and personal history converged in a single, poignant reveal. one that left Donald Trump vulnerable before strangers who now knew more of his heart than most people ever had. By the time Donald Trump uttered the words confirming his mother's Muslim faith, those gathered in the mosque were as stunned as if the ground had shifted beneath them. Some recalled rumors that he had occasionally shown respect for Islamic traditions, but never had anyone imagined such a personal connection. This revelation, captured on multiple cell phones, ignited a frenzy across social media. Within 5 hours, the footage spread like wildfire, generating countless debates and think pieces that questioned everything from Trump's political history to his personal identity. Strangely, just as the video reached its peak circulation, it vanished. Posts were taken down or flagged, and accounts sharing the clip reported sudden restrictions. People began asking why this particular moment had been censored with such speed and efficiency. Various theories emerged. Some claimed powerful figures were working behind the scenes to manage the fallout, while others suggested that Trump himself had orchestrated the takedowns to avoid further publicity. Not long after, murmurs arose that Trump was nowhere to be found. News outlets reported he had canceled upcoming engagements without explanation, and public sightings ceased entirely. Speculation swirled. Had the emotional toll of discovering his mother's faith caused him to retreat from the spotlight? Or did shadowy forces, threatened by the implications of his confession, force him into hiding? A few claimed he had checked into a private facility, unable to process the upheaval of learning about his true heritage. Others whispered of covert operations by intelligence agencies, suggesting that Trump's knowledge posed some perceived risk. Online forums buzzed with each new rumor, yet no definitive evidence could confirm any theory. People only knew that Donald Trump had vanished as abruptly as he had appeared at that small New York mosque. The imam who had been with him during his breakdown offered no clear answers, speaking only of a man in pain who discovered something he never expected to find. Among the mosque's congregants, emotions ranged from sympathy to deep concern. They too had witnessed a once towering figure crumble beneath the weight of a buried truth. Ultimately, the world was left with more questions than answers. Was Trump's shocking departure voluntary, or was he removed against his will? Would he eventually return and address this revelation? And if he did, how would the world receive a man who had discovered his Muslim roots so publicly, only to disappear without a trace?